Hi, I'm Jamie Wax. I'm the writer of Call Me Izzy on Broadway now at Studio 54, and this is BroadwayWorld's Notes on a Script. A long time ago, I realized that one of the best things a writer can do, especially in a place with a rich oral tradition and a lot of great characters like Louisiana, is just listen. I've gotten so much inspiration in bars, from friends, from people I meet on the street, and even from my own family. And Call Me Izzy began that way, trying to capture an aunt of mine who was a real survivor amidst life's difficulties and had an amazing ability to tell a story and a joke, and in fact used her sense of humor as a survival tool. And that's something I was chasing in this. There is a lot of my aunt in this character, and there also is a lot of 26 women over the years that I interviewed in domestic violence shelters to really find out their stories, their insights, their perspective. Originally, I wrote this piece as a 7-performer play. All the characters that are discussed and that are actively part of the plot and the storyline were represented on the stage. And for some reason, the solo moments of Isabel herself, of Izzy, really outshone the rest of it. They had more immediacy. I felt more inspired when I was writing them. And what I realized after I completed this play and after a few theaters had offered interest in producing it was that really, at its heart, this play was about isolation. It's about someone, while they were surrounded by others and by noise and by a community in a way, didn't feel that at all. That felt incredibly, eternally alone. And that's when I realized this play needed to be a solo piece to honor the character and her story. At one point, we found out that my aunt might have been interested in visual art and painting. And I was fascinated by that because no one in my family ever saw one painting from her. So I thought, what if my aunt were a painter, a passionate painter, a great painter maybe, and no one ever saw her art? Well, in using that inspiration for a play, I decided, after doing a Shakespeare play myself as an actor and then going to a poetry reading of Robert Penn Warren poems, that in the theater we just don't get enough poems in the dark. And I was thinking about my own inspiration. I decided to make her a poet instead of a painter. Isabel's poetry is an important part of the story, but also an important part of the experience for us as an audience, as the scene partner to her, really sharing her experiences and her story. This is a poem that's patterned after a Shakespearean sonnet, and it is written with the innocence of someone who has discovered and loved these sonnets for the first time and decides to write about her own life through the structure of a Shakespearean sonnet. I wrote it after I just finished reading all of Shakespeare's sonnets. I just fell in love with them, their rhythm, their music, their honesty. Professor Heckerling said, "You're right, Isabel. Shakespeare did write honestly. I believe he had to be that way because he wrote for the common man." I thought maybe I could do the same thing, write a sonnet for the common man, or the common woman, as the case may be. In my case, real common. So I wrote a sonnet for myself. Sonnet number 1 by Isabel Scutley. A lightning bug sends flickers through the dark, revealing me a woman and a wife whose dreaming dropped me in this trailer park to serve a sentence others call a life. Within a coffin made of tin and shit, I try to speak, although I find no voice. I try to stand, though I am forced to sit, and make decisions, though I have no choice. And so we flit, the lightning bug and I, while as she glimmers star-like in the black, I wish on her my man would say goodbye and send my floodlight lightning flooding back. An insect doesn't give much light, I know, but that does not suppress her need to glow. When you find the whole story of the play, you realize it's very ironic that I lost this play for 10 years. I had it on a hard drive and I lost it because my hard drive burned up. So this play burnt up, it was gone. I contacted the theaters that I'd sent copies to. Nobody had a hard copy of it. No one could dig it up. And it haunted me for 10 years. I had lost the poems, I had lost the lines, everything about it. And every time I would think about it, it was incredibly depressing. So in 2008, I was performing in a regional theater as an actor in the play Doubt. And the incredible woman, Shirley Simpson, who helped me with all of my early pieces, directing them and working with me on the writing, she came to see the show and we went to lunch the next day. And she said, "What are you doing next?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to finally start from scratch and rework that play that I had written all those years ago into a solo play." She said, "Why are you starting from scratch?" And I told her, and she said, "I think I have an old copy of that on a hard drive of mine. I save all my hard drives." And the next day at the box office of the theater was a floppy disk with my play on it. I had to go to 3 computer guys, but I finally found someone to get it back up. And with all these asterisks and strange symbols, there was my play again. And that was my starting point in 2008 toward making the play what eventually got to Broadway. Thanks to BroadwayWorld for having me and featuring our play. Thank you for watching this. And please come and see Call Me Izzy at Studio 54 on Broadway, starring the great Jean Smart. And also, if you are a writer out there and you're feeling unheard, unseen, know that the writing is what's important. And get it out there. Get it out of yourself, get it onto a page, and then reach out and try to get your writing seen. You have a voice, and it's important to express that.